ATFA disappointed over exclusion from bilateral talks with Barbados. Fisherfolk expressed concerns about upcoming seismic surveys. Tobago claims bronze in Wanderlust Awards for World's Most Desirable Island, and a former finance minister is skeptical about Bank of Jamaica's suspension of the TT dollar. Good evening, I'm Patricia Nicholson-Richards. This is the Tobago Updates Television News for Thursday, 9th November 2023. To our top story this evening, Tobago won bronze at the 2023 Wanderlust Readers' Travel Awards for the Most Desirable Island, Rest of the World category. The prestigious award ceremony was held during World Travel Market in London, England. The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited stated that Tobago's achievement reaffirms the island's status as a leading Caribbean destination. The island stood out with this award, surpassing last year's gold winner, Palawan. The gold award went to Cuba and Taiwan received silver. TTAL expresses gratitude for this honor and plans to use it to further enhance Tobago's global reputation and tourism appeal. Well, the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association criticizes the Director of Fisheries for failing to consult them regarding a recent seismic survey initiated by an oil company on November 7th. At a press conference today, they expressed disappointment and concerns about the impact of the livelihood of fisherfolk in Tobago. Ariana Scipio has the details.
ATFA expresses disappointment at not being informed about ongoing seismic surveys that began on November 7th and will continue for 10 days. The surveys are conducted by the Australian oil company Woodside. ATFA's Vice President Junior Kwashi revealed that the Fisheries Division and their representative, Garth Utley, met with the company to discuss fisherfolk matters without the association's knowledge.
And it's time for you to stop this division. Mr. Garth and his team, who we have portraying to be fishermen or fisherfolk, whatever they call themselves, Mr. Garth needs to be turned that. And we are here standing this morning to tell Mr. Garth stop his nonsense he are going on with. Otherwise, we have to take him back to the court.
Kwashi added that a court ruling from a few years ago prohibited the THA Fisheries Division from making decisions on behalf of fisherfolk. He mentioned that the Toko region was aware of the ongoing surveys, but ATFA was not informed. Kwashi concluded by urging the relevant authorities to intervene and stop Garth Utley, or else they would consider taking legal action.
Whoever BHP, Woodside, whoever they are, Shell, whatever, comes to Tobago, everybody know ATFA throughout the world. Write to ATFA, deal with ATFA, let ATFA mind ATFA business.
Meanwhile, the president of ATFA, Curtis Douglas, stated that they are the legal fishing body responsible for making decisions on behalf of the fisherfolk in Tobago. He also expressed that the Director of Fisheries has displayed blatant disrespect for fishing and food security on the island through their decisions to meet with the oil company.
The Director of Fisheries will have a meeting with these oil companies and settle for defensive driving and first aid. That is the compensation he's asking for Tobagonian. We did not have that seated because they did not invite us. Because we, ATFA, had turned that down 3 years, 4 years ago.
Douglas raised a critical question about the potential damage to fishing grounds caused by these surveys, wondering how it will affect the livelihood of fishermen. He emphasized that if fishermen are unable to fish, it would severely impact Tobago's food security. He expressed his deep concern about the seismic survey's negative impact on the fisherfolk in Tobago.
Right? It's going to create great humbug and destruction to the fisherfolk in Tobago. And we are calling on Woodside to please do the right thing, because Woodside know we would have taken BHP to court, they know, and BHP would have paid compensation for their reckless behavior.
Douglas urged the head of Australia's Woodside Energy Company to meet with the association next week to settle this matter once and for all, or else they will take legal action. We contacted Fisheries Director Garth Utley for further information on the situation, but he denied having any details and declined to comment further. Ariana Scipio, Tobago Updates Television.
When a group of students were denied the opportunity to travel to Trinidad for the Sandfest competition earlier this week, the Division of Education, Research and Technology faced public backlash. They later explained that all the necessary requirements to facilitate the trip were not met. School Supervisor 3, Sherian Rollox Hackett, spoke with reporter Candace Jackson and clarified the requirements necessary for school trips.
School Supervisor 3, Sherian Rollox Hackett, explained that there are guidelines that teachers and principals must adhere to before taking students out on trips. It begins with a form that outlines the trip's details along with the invitation letters.
We must have a copy of that document. Yes, that is indeed true, that you are taking the people's children to that particular activity.
These forms must be accompanied by the names of the students, along with the contact information of their parents or legal guardians. Why? Well, the School Supervisor 3 is duty-bound to take responsibility should a situation develop.
I cannot be appear to be disheveled. I don't know where to turn. Who are these parents? How can we contact them? No. Anything happen? I have it right here. So I know, okay, it is student X, the parents is Maureen, whatever.
Additionally, clear plans for transportation during the trip must be outlined.
They can't go land at the port and they have all the children waiting to catch a maxi.
Rollox Hackett explains that the guidelines for transportation go even further.
That application must also have a copy of the driver's permit of that particular maxi taxi driver or taxi driver, and also his or her insurance.
While there is no limit to the number of accompanying adults, only bona fide teachers can be listed on the application forms.
If anything were to go amiss and we have to begin disciplinary measures, they must be members of either the Teaching Service Commission or of the contract system here with the Tobago House of Assembly.
As tedious as the process may seem, Rollox Hackett pointed out that it is necessary, especially in light of past experiences. Referring to a case in which a child drowned in a pool a few years ago, she explained that the parent in that situation blamed the division for allowing the child to enter the pool when it was not listed as an activity on the form.
She doesn't understand how her child at that time got into the pool to have drowned. And that is why when that package comes to the supervisor, we need the time to exercise sufficient due diligence.
When all the details did not align with procedure, a group of students was recently denied the opportunity to travel to Trinidad to participate in the finals of a competition.
It is clear what ought to happen. And if it is not followed in the way it ought to happen, then a decision has to be made. And in that situation, a decision was made.
Despite the disappointment, Rollox Hackett wants the public to know that
there needs to be a degree of trust and an allowance for officials of the division to do their work.
Candace Jackson, Tobago Updates, Television News.
We take a short break and come back with more. Stay with us.
Hey, hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive Collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Costa. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
Barbados and the Trinidad and Tobago officials, along with the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, discussed concerns about overfishing of the Eastern Caribbean flying fish stock. Talks were said to be productive, focusing on collaborative research, a stock assessment, and a potential new fishing agreement. Both countries emphasized their commitment to sustainable resource use and maintaining open communication with fisherfolk. However, the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association is disappointed about being excluded from those conversations.
Despite recent bilateral talks between Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Pageant fishermen are still being observed around the island. This information comes from Sheldon Cooper, a trustee on the board of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, ADFA, and the president of the Goldsboro Fishing Association.
And here today, I could tell you presently, the Bajan are here. Almost 2 to 3 boats right now in Tobago water, still applying the illegal trade. So we want to know when will this end.
ADFA is concerned that Barbadian fishermen are using unsustainable methods to catch flying fish, leading to reduced catches. They have urged the government to take action. In response to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' request, ADFA submitted a 10-point plan for a new agreement between the two countries. As explained by ADFA President Curtis Douglas, this plan includes regulations aimed at ensuring preservation of a healthy flying fish stock.
The first thing is that you must have a license to come into the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. 2, the nets must be inspected and you must have a limited nets. And 3, you must be able to report to the Fisheries Department and ADFA so that we know your location, and the lights that you use need to be reviewed and revisited.
ADFA had hoped to be a part of the recent discussions, but they were not included. Instead, they learned about the meeting through media reports.
Ahead with this, but yet still you are having bilateral meetings without the presence of the All Tobago Fisherfolk, which is the legal and governing body for fisherfolk on this island. And that, to me, shows a lack of communication, a lack of respect, a lot of care for the people of Tobago.
ADFA is seeking information about the decisions made during the meeting. They also reminded the Trinidad and Tobago government of the importance of upholding the law and expressed their readiness to take legal action if necessary.
The law states quite clearly, categorically, that no foreign vessel should fish in the waters of Trinidad and Tobago without an agreement. The last agreement was done in 1987.
Efforts to obtain comments from the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amy Brown, at the time of the recording were unsuccessful. Candace Jackson, Tobago Updates Television News.
Buddy Walk 2023 is a global partnership that involves Trinidad and Tobago and other countries promoting inclusivity for individuals with Down syndrome and other disabilities. It featured post-event fun activities and a prize distribution at the Esplanade. Reporter Tanika Cruikshank tells us more in this story.
The National Down Syndrome Society introduced the Buddy Walk initiative with the aim of promoting the inclusion and acceptance of individuals with Down syndrome. It is also recognized as the world's most prominent public awareness campaign for the Down syndrome community. The network was established to educate families on how to engage with individuals who have impairments, according to Honorary Board Member of the Down Syndrome Family Network, Lisa Gani.
And it was really formed by parents in Trinidad who were looking for solutions for, to help assist their kids live a typical life, like everyone else, and there was nothing out there. So they got together and did a lot of research on things that were happening internationally, and that was how the network was formed.
Organized by community organizations, Buddy Walks occur various days and in various locations across the United States and globally. In addition to celebrating the achievements and abilities of individuals with Down syndromes, these walks aim to raise funds for initiatives that support individuals with conditions and their families, as explained by Gani.
And of course, the purpose of the network is to educate and create awareness for families so that they can help the person in their care to live a normal life and to be included in society and education. And, because education is a foundation for any child. If you don't educate them, they can't do anything else. They need to learn skills. And we're not just talking academics. We're talking about, just how you participate in society and so on.
Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Zorisha Hackett, stated that her division and the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection have consistently collaborated with the Down Syndrome Family Network.
We have the School for the Deaf, and we also have the Happy Haven School. And we're also one of those divisions that believes in inclusivity, as we have adapted and enacted that as a policy where we have persons with disabilities becoming members of staff of our division.
Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, Dr. Faith B. Israel, affirmed the division's commitment to ensuring every individual has a place in society.
Well, one of the things that we currently have, of course, is a technical vocational school for individuals with disabilities, and that we are continuing. But as I had mentioned before, the Tobago House of Assembly is going a step further because, we currently don't really have any legislation that forces us to be truly inclusive. But the Tobago House of Assembly has gone a step further, where we have actually created a policy that allows individuals with disabilities to be a part of our workforce.
Persons all over Tobago are appreciated with disabilities or not, as shown here at Body Walk 2023. Tanika Cruikshank, Tobago Updates Television News.
Students expelled from public schools cannot re-enter under the current policy framework. This according to Minister of Education, Dr. Nyam Gatsby-Dolly. The policy also applies to education in Tobago. In this report from Trevisha Phillips, we will further explore the measures in place to prevent students from reaching that point.
In response to the Minister of Education, Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly's statement that expelled students cannot return to public schools, Tobago Updates contacted education officials for their opinions. Tutor Tobago officer Braden Roberts expressed the belief that it should not come to the point of students being expelled from school. He highlighted that there are trade schools nationwide offering skill-building programs for youths. However, Roberts also noted that there is limited awareness of these programs among young people, leading them to being underutilized.
So the education drive in terms of the public being aware of all the program offerings and even the motivation into getting persons into these programs. So as it has been over the years, many programs have come on stream. I would have heard even previous chief secretaries talking about all these programs and persons not taking them up. So it's not just having programs really, it's ensuring that persons are educated about these programs in the first place.
School Supervisor 3, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Hackett from the Division of Education, Research and Technology also expressed that expulsion from school is a last resort. In fact, it is very rarely used in Tobago. She stated that many interventions take place before that stage is reached. Hackett explained that there is a student support unit within the division where they collaborate to ensure that all services are utilized for addressing student behavioral issues. She then explained that there are occasions when they require external assistance.
Sometimes it may mean that we have to outsource or bring in a professional, given the nature of the problem. Recently, we found ourselves in a position having to reach out to bring in a traumatologist to deal with an issue that was besetting a particular child within our system.
The School Supervisor 3 highlighted the availability of the Learning Enhancement Center in Hope for secondary school students serving suspension sentences. At this center, teachers and managers are consistently present to oversee and support the students in continuing their schoolwork. Hackett urged the public not to judge students with behavioral issues harshly, noting that underlying issues often drive their actions. She pointed out that the home environment plays a significant role in student behavior.
Respect. We want our students to all be respectful. But what does respect look like? For some children, given their home environment, their perception of what respect ought to look like may be skewed. Because all kind of things happening within that environment. People saying all sorts of things to each other. There's no difference whether it is the mother speaking or the child or the grandmother speaking.
When contacted, Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Zorisha Hackett, clarified that the expulsion policy is a national one, which the THA is obligated to follow. She stated that their approach goes beyond mere compliance and focuses on preventative measures before needing to use expulsion. The Education Secretary believes this approach to be proactive and highlights the island's commitment to creating a supportive and nurturing environment for all students. Trevisha Phillips, Tobago Updates Television News.
The Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation announced the return of Condo Airlines to the ANR Robinson International Airport for the 2023-2024 winter season. The inaugural flight on November 7, 2023 carried 116 passengers, with 71 disembarking in Tobago. Condo Airlines, a leading German leisure airline, will operate a weekly flight between Frankfurt Airport and Tobago, satisfying the demand among German travelers and supporting TTAL's strategic marketing efforts. This event also introduced Condo's new eco-friendly A330-900 neo aircraft. To celebrate their return, a special welcome event showcased Tobago's culture and heritage. Well, we have more news coming right after this. Stay tuned.
You know, who would I ever believe, Jessica could take care of a child,
Oh, I know, right? I'm a kinship foster parent to my nephew Malik.
Papa, you remind me of my grandmother, you know, when she used to take care of my cousins.
If I didn't step in, I don't know where he would have ended up. Plus, I get support from Children's Authority, training, and counseling.
But Jessica, you not married?
That doesn't matter once you have a safe home and you're related to the child. You're good.
So did this give money to do this?
Yeah, they do give me some money.
So, Auntie, you can buy a Lamborghini for me?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Malik, but that money's to take care of you. Okay, smubble up, yes.
I will not try. Mommy, you can buy
No.
Wait, I didn't even finish my sentence.
About Lamborghini, you could get lamb stew for lunch.
Auntie Jessica could only come when you come in, because all them does do is talk people business.
Malakay, I'm only going on the bed.
But Mommy, the boy don't even live here.
Yeah, go to your bunkers.
What? Bunkers? Where's that?
I think I'm getting pretty good at this.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Costa. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
The Bank of Jamaica has temporarily suspended TT dollar exchanges. Finance Minister Colm Imbert assured that the impact on the country's economy will be minimal. But former Finance Minister Mariano Brown appeared on the morning show to provide insights into the situation. Ariana Scipio tells us more.
Last week, the Bank of Jamaica announced a temporary suspension in the exchange of TT dollars. The suspension was attributed to a review of TT dollar repatriation arrangements. The Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, along with the Finance Minister, reassured that the loss of foreign exchange was minimal and not a cause for concern. Nevertheless, former Finance Minister Mariano Brown questioned the need for an announcement, suggesting that if the amount were insignificant, the Bank of Jamaica would not have taken this action. When asked about the reason for their course of action, he responded by saying,
"Cash is difficult to manage. You have to put custody arrangements in position. You have to count it on a regular basis to make certain it's there." And on the custodial arrangements and moving cash around is expensive because you have to put security and all those other kinds of arrangements in place to make it happen.
He explained that transporting money, especially when it involves a currency in high demand, can be expensive and burdensome. Brown further elaborated that most regional trade is conducted using the US dollar, while TT dollars are primarily used exclusively in Trinidad and Tobago.
The fact that most of the trade is settled in US dollars. So the only explanation for that would be that they couldn't find US dollars, but people were prepared to accept TT dollars in exchange, right, which would then have to be repatriated by the central banks of both countries.
He said that the reason for stopping the transshipment of TT dollars was due to the fact that the central bank told the Bank of Jamaica not to send any more.
The likely suspicion is that people have been using Trinidad and Tobago dollars to settle outstanding bills because they weren't getting foreign exchange in Trinidad, and people were prepared to accept the TT dollars because they knew that either the two central banks would be prepared to exchange it.
Brown indicated that the difficulty to obtain foreign exchange is the heart of the situation. Ariana Scipio, Tobago Updates Television News.
Christopher Nathan's Cocoa Velvet is hosting training sessions for delegates participating in the 2024 Miss Tobago Pageant, along with selected students of various high schools on the island. The sessions are currently taking place at the Ann Mitchell Gift Auditorium, located at the Scarborough Library. Trevicia Phillips has the highlights.
Miss World 1986, Giselle Laron West, served as a mentor, sharing her experiences with participants in the 2024 Miss Tobago Pageant, which included both the Miss Tobago Pageant delegates and aspiring models from the high schools around the island. Her primary emphasis during the workshop was on the holistic development of the participants.
We talked about deportment and etiquette and networking, looking at how they speak, how they project their voices, how they, the diction, how they walk, how they sit, how they stand, how they conduct themselves, their mannerisms, their behaviors, that kind of thing, attitude, etc. So we looked at it a little holistically in terms of how do I develop me as a person.
She also noted that there was a diverse group of participants from various villages and age groups from as young as 12 years old. Given the significant differences between pageants in her era and those in contemporary times, Laron West explained these training sessions are viewed as a necessity in today's beauty industry.
The way the competitions go have changed. So what they do in the competitions have changed. In terms of how we conduct ourselves, how we prepare ourselves for the pageants, hasn't changed drastically. I mean, it's a little bit more intense in terms of some of the things that the young ladies have to go through to be able to prepare themselves for the competitions because the competitions have changed.
Tuesday's training session is part of a series that started on October 31st, 2023, led by Christopher Nathan, the owner of Cocoa Velvet. Out of over 3,000 student applicants, over 350 were shortlisted based on specific criteria. For the Miss Tobago pageant, 12 delegates were initially chosen, with plans to select 6 more for a total of 18. Among the 350 students, only 101 received parental permission to attend. Speaking on the brunch mid-morning show, Nathan explained that the workshop also had the participation of young men from the island.
I want to talk here about the boys, because we have 10 boys out of 101 participants.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you why. A lot of them who we selected have the potential, they have the right physique, they're nice and fit, great height, everything, but they're afraid of what their peers and their schoolmates and their relatives will tell them about modeling.
Okay,
so there are misconceptions there.
The Miss Tobago Beauty Pageant, a showcase of Tobago's finest talents, is scheduled for February 4th, 2024 at the Shore Park Complex. A semi-final round on January 21st will introduce the contestants. Meanwhile, the Miss Tobago pageant winner will represent Tobago at the Miss World Trinidad and Tobago 2024 pageant. Stay tuned for more updates as the Miss Tobago pageant delegates count down to the crown. Trevicia Phillips, Tobago Updates Television News.
Now for the weather forecast from the TNT Met Office, tomorrow anticipate initially fair conditions with a few showery spells after midnight and the temperatures dropping to 26 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow expect sunny and breezy weather with showers likely mainly during the afternoon and evening. These showers may continue intermittently overnight with a 40% chance of isolated thunderstorms. The daytime high will reach 32 degrees Celsius and the heat index will be around 35 degrees. Seas are moderate with waves up to 2 meters in open waters and 1.3 meters in sheltered areas. Sunrise is at 5:57 a.m. and sunset at 5:36 p.m. And that's how we end this evening's newscast. Recapping the headlines, ATFA disappointed over exclusion from bilateral talks with Barbados. Fisherfolk express concerns about upcoming seismic surveys. Tobago claims bronze in Wanderlust Awards for World's Most Desirable Island. And former finance minister is skeptical about Bank of Jamaica's suspension of the TT dollar. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards, thanking you so much for joining us and wishing you a good night.